He, the Master and Lord, got up, took a towel, knelt before his disciples, and began washing their feet. Peter initially refused because he didn't understand why Jesus himself was doing such a humble task. However, Jesus explained the importance of that act. In John 13:14-15, Jesus said, "Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you." Here, Jesus shows us that serving others is not a sign of weakness, but of inner strength and confidence in our identity in God. Even though he was the Son of God, he did not feel diminished by performing this humble act. On the contrary, he demonstrated that true greatness lies in serving. Serving others is an act of love that strengthens us spiritually because it shifts our focus away from our own difficulties and puts us in a position of empathy and compassion for others. In Mark 10:45, Jesus stated, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." This verse highlights that Jesus' mission from the very beginning was marked by service. He did not seek status, recognition, or comfort, but dedicated his life for the good of others. Moreover, serving teaches us to develop resilience that goes beyond ourselves. When we focus on helping someone, we find strength even when we feel weak. This is because, by attending to others' needs, we are renewed through the very act of giving. The Apostle Paul reminds us of this in Galatians 6:9-10, where he writes, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers." Jesus himself, on various occasions, demonstrated that service is a way to fulfill God's purpose on earth. When he fed the crowd of 5,000 people with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, as narrated in Matthew 14:13-21, he not only performed a miracle, but also taught us the power of serving the needs of others, even when resources seemed limited. Jesus could have sent the crowd away, but he chose to serve, trusting that God would provide what was needed to feed everyone present. Another important point is that serving others helps us develop humility. In Philippians 2:3-4, Paul urges us, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others." By serving, we learn to prioritize the needs of others above our own, and this strengthens us emotionally and spiritually because our lives begin to reflect Christ's love in a practical way. Jesus also left us the example that service should be done without expecting anything in return. In Luke 6:35, he teaches us to love our enemies and do good without expecting anything back. This is resilience in its purest form, continuing to do good even when there is no recognition or immediate reward. This attitude strengthens us internally because it frees us from the need for approval and validation from others, focusing solely on pleasing God. Service also prepares us to face life's adversities with greater courage. When we are accustomed to putting ourselves at others' disposal, we practice an act of surrender. In Matthew 25:35-40, Jesus teaches us that by feeding the hungry, giving drink to the thirsty, welcoming strangers, and clothing the needy, we are actually serving Christ himself. He said, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." Matthew 25:40. This shows us that serving others is also a way to deeply connect with Jesus, strengthening our spirit and our faith. When Jesus called his disciples, he invited them to a life of service. In Matthew 20:26-28, he said, "Whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave. just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. Jesus makes it clear that the path to true greatness lies in service. By living out this principle, we find a source of strength that the world cannot offer. This strength does not come from recognition or power, but from the simple act of blessing others. Furthermore, serving helps us develop a long-term vision. By investing our time and energy to help others, we are planting seeds that we may not see the fruits of immediately. But Jesus reminds us that sincere service will always be rewarded by God. In Hebrews 6:10 it is written, "God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people and continue to help them." This gives us the assurance that our effort to serve is not in vain, and that God, in his time, will bring the reward. Therefore, serving others is one of the most powerful ways to be strong and resilient in life. It shifts us from a stance of self-protection and teaches us to live selflessly, just as Jesus did. Through service, we find purpose, spiritual growth, and the strength to face the challenges that come our way. The fourth secret is having faith in difficult times. Jesus, in his journey on earth, left many examples of how faith is essential to navigate the most adverse situations. During moments of uncertainty and tribulation, he always demonstrated that faith in God is what sustains us. One episode that clearly illustrates this is the occasion when he and his disciples crossed the Sea of Galilee. In Matthew 8:23-27, we read that Jesus was in the boat with his disciples when a great storm arose. The wind and the waves were so strong that the boat seemed about to sink. Meanwhile, Jesus slept peacefully. Desperate, the disciples woke him, saying, "Lord, save us, we're going to drown." Matthew 8:25. Jesus, upon waking up, rebuked them for their lack of faith before calming the storm. "Why are you so afraid, you of little faith?" Matthew 8:26. Then he got up, and with a simple word, commanded the wind and the sea to calm, and there was great peace.